So my Subaru Forester has developed the dreaded radiator top tank leak. Tried fixing it by just using compression tape around the nozzle here, but it's been getting worse. So $110 and a new radiator. And so today's job is to replace the radiator in the Forester, and we'll see how long it takes starting now. Okay, pulled off the cold air intake and cleaned a lot of stuff up. And the first step is actually to remove the two fans and then to drain the coolant out of the bottom. So I get working on that now. It's been 5 minutes. Of course, these are all 10mm bolts, so hopefully I won't lose my one 10mm socket while I go through and do all these. 20 minutes in, we got both the fans loose. The biggest hassle was prying the coolant tank out. Get the coolant tank out, the fans come off. I got to undo the wiring at the bottom and then pull them out. Oh, and undo this hose. All right, get the fans off. Both fans. I need to wash them up because they got a lot of residual coolant gunk on them. I'm gonna wash down the front of the engine too. Here, I got to get that lower hose off and catch the coolant when it comes out. So I'm gonna have to take this panel off, I think. But one of the interesting things I see is that I don't have an oil cooler in my radiator because this is a manual transmission car. All the generic radiators have the oil cooler built into them, so I guess I'll just have to leave those connections undone. Also, be careful. I put a screw clamp on to replace the broken original clamp here, and I tightened it, I guess, too much because I totally destroyed the attachment here. I think it was already coming apart anyway, but when I put it back together, I'm going to be really careful not to over tighten that attachment, just to barely tighten it down because it's apparently designed for the little flex clamps. In fact, I might switch it and put the flex clamp that was here and still working on this spot and put the hose clamp here on this aluminum fitting. So now I got to get the radiator out. 41 minutes in, and I got the coolant draining from the radiator and the engine, mostly the engine. And yeah, so next, these are 12mm bolts that hold the radiator in. There's 2 bolts and the whole thing comes out. All right, we got the radiator out. I had a little bit of a hiccup because it turns out you need to have weather stripping for the bottom and the top of the radiator. So I got some from the Lowe's. We're gonna put that on and then we're gonna cram the radiator back into the spot. Okay, I got the foam on and I'm ready to install it, and I realized it does have a drain plug. I could have drained it all here out of the bottom left corner. So if you're doing this at home, there is a drain plug. It's in the bottom, I guess, right passenger side corner of the radiator. So don't make my mistake. Got the new radiator installed, bottom hose in place, got the air shielding back in place, and I found another wrinkle. There's another hose takeoff for the radiator here that my radiator doesn't have. So I'm gonna have to get a little bit of hose and a bolt and block this off with some clamps, and that's just a pain in the butt, but I'll go back to the auto parts store and do that. Everything else seems to be the same, so I'm gonna keep installing. With some 1/2-inch heater hose and a 1/2-inch bolt and a couple of screw clamps, I was able to close off this extra little nipple here. So I think we're back in business. So now what I got to do is fill up the radiator, top off the coolant thing, and then we're going to run it and let it burp out coolant until it's ready to go. And it's still less than 2 hours. That's minus lunchtime and driving around and stuff. All right, it's the next day. Everything's working well. It took an entire another gallon of coolant, so it means I was probably down a gallon already. So we're doing the burp process where we run it for a while and get it hot and let it cool off and see if it can suck any more out. But I think we're in business. I think it's all done. Yeah, so total working time, probably about 2 hours over 2 days for me because I'm an amateur. Subaru.